Hello, everyone. We are going to get started super soon. We are going to be chatting with Vermilion Bane today. I'm super excited. She is the author of The Fae Hotel. And if you stick around, you may be able to win a copy of this wonderful, amazing book. Join. Are you there?
Hey, I was trying to figure out why my camera wasn't on. There we go.
Perfect. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I am so excited to talk about your book today. Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm going to do my best to remember the questions. Usually I've been looking at them, but now I've done it 3 times, so I think I can remember. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you came to be an author. Where did that start, and how did you kind of make it happen?
So my author name is Vermilion Bane, and I write fantasy romance. This is my debut novel, The Fae Hotel, right here. And I've always wanted to be a writer, but my work is not at all related to like writing or marketing or anything like that. I do mechanical, electrical work. So writing just kind of became a hobby, but then I started reading a lot of Elise Kova and Carissa Broadbent, who are indie authors.
I love Elise.
And I kind of started researching the indie process, and I decided that it was the route for me to go, just so I can, because I do really like my job, and I like being able to write on my time because I have a 15-month-old, so I like, being able to choose when my deadlines are. And so I decided to go with indie publishing, and here we are.
Awesome. Hi, Natasha. Thank you for joining us today. And so, I think with a lot of indie authors, it is a second job, right? Like it's kind of just like a side thing, but, you very clearly have talent. So that's really wonderful. So tell us a little bit about how you plan. Do you outline? Do you just write random scenes and put them together? Like, what does that look like for you?
I'm definitely the latter. I think I saw it called quilting once, where you just write certain scenes and then you have to, string them together. And that's definitely what I like to do, just because, especially sometimes when you're writing, it kind of, you get that writer's block, you're not feeling the certain scene. So I like quilting because that allows me to, skip to what I feel like writing. And also I feel like I get to write the scenes when I'm in the best mood for them. Like if I'm, in a very like dramatic or sad mood, then I get to write the scenes where that would actually come in handy. And so I feel like, I know it makes it more like a more emotional experience, but also a more fun experience for me. And I think it kind of helps the scene. It does at the end. Then you have to string them all together, and that sometimes is tedious. But I still like quilting.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about what you enjoy most about writing in the fantasy genre, particularly.
So I write modern fantasy, urban fantasy, and my favorite thing about that is I get to do all this like fantasy world building, but I get to use like modern language because it's in a modern Earth setting, and that helps. I think also with like modern fantasy, a lot of like funny banter and funny lines are very common. So I feel like I get to go crazy with that because that's expected in the genre, and so that's probably my favorite part about it.
Awesome. Um, what do you need in your writing space in order to help yourself stay focused and, on task with whenever you're writing?
So this is my husband's computer. I had to like come into his office today, but my writing space, I like to have it. Everything has to be like off my desk. Has to have a clear, clean space to start. Like other authors, I like to have a candle. I don't listen to music because it distracts me, but I do like either like snowstorm or thunderstorm, like ambiance videos on YouTube, and either just like a water or iced coffee.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, everybody make sure that you're liking and sharing, so we can get more lovely people coming in here. And what is your kryptonite as a writer? What gets in your way?
I think I have I like to edit like up until like the very end. I think it's because I put a lot of like banter or funny things in my books, and so like I'll be like, okay, this is the final draft, we're done. But then I'll think of something funny to add in that I'll have to like just try and sneak it into a scene. And so sometimes that, causes me more stress because it might already be proofread, and now I'm trying to like put in an absolutely perfect grammatical, just funny scene that is probably mostly for me, but
I think it's especially with the quilting technique, right? Like, because you write, um, scenes not necessarily cohesively, and you stick them together. You find a great one that you just want to put in there. That there's so many. Obviously, I tapped a lot into it. There's so many I could imagine you probably just stuck in there. That are just honestly, I laughed a lot when I was reading this book, and I really enjoy like laughing when I read books. And I actually laugh out loud, so I kind of think it's funny that you say that. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. We are chatting with Vermilion Bane today, who is the author of The Fae Hotel. It's just come out on the 14th of January, and it's an urban fantasy. So obviously there's fantasy elements, but then there's also the contemporary elements. Let me see. I know I do have feedback. I don't know where it's coming from then. Okay. So how do you describe the book in a sentence or less?
I know I looked through all your questions and I like typed up my answers. I have no idea what I wrote for that question. Um, this isn't going to be under 10 probably, but um, magical in setting with two grumpy main characters and a lot of humor, but also a lot of like kind of dark fantasy fighting elements.
I think that's a good description for it, and I think, just like I reading it again, so like I read it once, and then obviously I went back and tabbed it, and it was like such a different experience reading it again. Like I feel like even like I don't want to spoil, but when they do a task for somebody in the book, I feel like I got like more out of that reading it the second time, which was kind of interesting. I feel like during that is like where I saw like a turning point like for the main characters, um, in their relationship. So it's really hard not to spoil. But yeah, so reading it the second time, like I definitely found like appreciating like a lot of like those little like pieces that you added more. Um, who was your favorite character to write, and why was that person your favorite?
I think Eldon was my favorite character, right? When I first started drafting this book, I started with the intention of only doing one point of view, which was Avalon's point of view. And I was like, I think 10% of the way into it, and I decided that for like the world building, I think it would be better to have Eldon's point of view as well. So once I started writing his point of view, I feel like I just kind of I understood his character better, and he's a very fun character to like tease. And so I really liked writing his reactions and stuff. So he was my favorite point of view.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. What was the most challenging part of writing your book?
The most challenging part,
Mhm.
I think the most challenging part is just like keeping track of um because it's a portal fantasy, so I'm kind of like world building two worlds and just trying to keep track of anything I mentioned about the other world, making sure that it was, relevant, it wasn't like fluff, and if I did mention it, trying to make it relevant somehow. Just keeping track of all that world building and seeing what was needed and what I could cut.
And I think that that's one of the cool parts is that having an urban fantasy, you do get both of those sides.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is your favorite line or quote from the book?
I wrote this down too. I'm trying to remember which one I picked because there's one that like everybody likes and it's one of Eldon's lines, but I picked something else. Oh, I remember what I picked. I liked um in the beginning, uh Avalon and Eldon are having their first kind of they both know everything about each other, like their secrets, and they're kind of having like a back and forth. And Avalon is, up until that point, she's supposed to be like training the employees at the inn, and so she's like very like customer service demeanor. And so this is like the first time Eldon's like seen like her real personality, and he says something like, "I don't understand how you work in hospitality."
Yeah, that's funny. Definitely one of those lines that made me giggle a little bit. And so when people are writing, they envision certain things and certain, their characters as certain people. So if you were going to have your book made into a movie or a show, who would play Eldon and Adeline?
This is actually for my ARC readers. I did like a little questionnaire, and that was one of the questions I asked just because I was curious. Because I don't think of I don't think about what actor would really play them. Sometimes I do for like really minor characters. But for Eldon, I think most people they picked Henry Cavill, and then
Yes.
I can't remember the actress's name for Avalon, but she is the main character in it's a Netflix series. I think it's based on one of those cartoons. It's either like Winx or
Oh,
one of those cartoons.
yes, the Wings Club,
Yeah,
like the live action,
yeah,
like the main character with the red hair.
yeah.
Yes, I see it. I can definitely see that.
Yeah,
Very,
Avalon's meant to be more blonde, but I think I liked that choice the best.
yeah. I can definitely see Henry Cavill. Yep.
I think there's a big. Everyone just wants Henry Cavill to play everything, which I'm
True.
for.
And I mean, like the way that you describe him, and like even like looking at him like on this, like he's just like big and tall and manly. Um, so if you guys have any questions, anybody who is watching, please feel free to type stuff, and we will definitely answer those in addition to the ones that I have. I think let's take a pause here, and if it's okay with you, I kind of want to like randomly like pick a page and like pick a line, and we'll
Okay.
okay. So I'll read first, and then you go. So somebody pick a number between 1 and 459. So anybody who's watching, 1,459. 275. All right, so let's see. All right, you go first. You pick one.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you got yours for Amazon or
Yes.
my page on my version is when they're dancing, I'm gonna get embarrassed if I have to read it.
Mine's not.
Mm. I'm trying to think of a line that I can read by itself and won't embarrass me.
And that doesn't spoil.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler.
Here, I'll do one. So mine would be fine. Perhaps Eldon's own magic was not as flashy or as pretty, but Ashling hadn't claimed to impress. He'd been trained to get results.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, mine was all like gushy stuff.
Everybody likes gushy stuff.
People like gushy stuff, but I am very like introverted, and
it's awkward to read.
It's awkward, and then I've had a lot of friends and family have bought my book, and I was in the Navy, and so I have a lot of friends that are guys, and a lot of them have bought it, and I was just like, because it's not like, 5 chili peppers, it's low spice, but it's still like open door, and I'm just like, please don't actually read it. But I think some of them are going to. And they update me like my dad did. He was updating me like chapter by chapter, and I was just like, I felt like I was like having a countdown to like my execution. Every time he would like get closer to a certain chapter I really didn't want him to read. I was just like, oh my god.
Hi Carrie. Thank you for making it and for joining. I'm gonna pick on you just because you just commented. Pick a number between 1 and 459 that is not 275. I feel like I was like the people that just called on somebody. Anybody have enough? Or I'll just bring them.
How long have you been on Book Talk?
Me?
Are you like recent? Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been on Book Talk since October. This account has gone through so many things. I'm a mental health counselor, so I tried doing that for a while. I'm a yoga teacher, tried doing that for a while. I also identify as a witch, so I tried doing that for a while. But I finally got back into reading in September, and I just decided to start documenting how much I read because I just love to read. And then I started trying to interact with myself and realizing that I like the writing much better because it's not necessarily dictated by a publisher or an editor to be a certain way, and you get more freedom by being indie to an extent. So I kind of just I literally only read indie pretty much right now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I'm reading mostly indie as well. But I was doing that for a while, but it was like accidental because I got into Elise and Carissa's like books, and then you get like similar suggestions that would ended up being indie as well. And then eventually I realized they were all indie, but reading them, I can't tell a difference unless they sometimes it will be formatted a little strange. But
Hmm.
I think that's just a few authors that do that.
And I'm really glad that you mentioned Delise Silva, because I think she was probably the first indie author I read. One of my friends actually recommended her to me, and then I like binged all of her series and just read all of her books. I still haven't finished the newest series that book is coming out in a couple of weeks. I haven't read book three. I think it's
Is
already
that the heir of?
yes.
I've read the first one. Um, I have all of her standalone series, the Married to Magic series.
Reminds me of
Reminds
that
me of those.
same kind of thing. Like they're all going to be different,
Yeah.
which I really love. Um, it's just so nice to have like something wrapped up in one book. And like this was paced really well that I didn't feel rushed at the end, but it took, hold on. I think I remember saying it to myself. I think it was like it took them like 300 or something pages to smooch.
I know.
And I was like, wow, that took so long.
Yeah, I think I have some reviews
yeah,
where like it's like a real slow burn.
yes, it was good. Okay. So what do you like to do when you're writing other than reading?
So I used to do a lot of hiking. Since I had the baby, I haven't done that as much, but I'm gonna try and restart. And because I used to live in Washington, which is kind of why the Fay Hotel is set in Washington. And I used to hike pretty much every weekend. But down here, I live in the Southwest now, which is a very different type of hiking. And part of the year, you can't even hike, so I kind of slowed down on that. Other than hiking and reading and writing, I think that's pretty much it. Hiking, reading, writing.
All right. Sounds good to me. Other than Elise Colvin and Costa Broadbent, who are some authors or some books that you would recommend? I'm writing them down because everybody's recommendations have been amazing.
I really liked by Sarah L.K. Wilson. She has this new series, and it's a standalone series about paladins. There's it's called Of Deeds Most Valiant. And it's very dark. It takes place in like this dungeon that has like traps and honestly, I was like pretty disturbed. I do like to read horror. It was like almost horror, but there was like a very cute romance. She writes no spice romance. And I really liked it. It was pretty different than anything I was reading at the time. And I liked that it's a thick book, but it's a standalone series, and she's going to have more in this series about these paladins. And I also liked that these paladins, like, they worshipped this god, but the god had like different aspects. So depending which aspect of the god you worshipped, you had different powers. And I love when people have like specialized powers or specialized weapons. So that was pretty much a win for me. But reading it's kind of stressful because the situation they're in, it seems a lot of people die.
Okay, trigger warning in that book, but good. I would read that. If you guys have sorry.
Another one would be A Conduit of Light. That's Chelsea Ann Tompkins. I think you said you read it, or I love that.
There's only 50 people in here, but I will be interviewing Chelsea for my book too.
I love Chelsea. She's so nice. I got to read the prologue for like the next book. I'm so excited.
So I'm gonna totally tell her this. Like, I was so confused for the first half of the book, and I was like, who, what's going on? And then like once the reveal, I was like, I get it now. It all makes sense. And it was all connected, and I love that. Like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I loved what you did with it. I like that. Um, if anybody has questions, please feel free to type them. And we are continuing to go on. If you stay towards the end of the live today, you will have a chance to win this puppy, as long as you're 18 and over and you live in the US. Because I ship by a new email, so that is my excuse for that. It's a pretty hefty so Vermilion, here's some advice for aspiring authors, or what you wish that you would have been told when you were younger.
For like aspiring indie authors, when I was doing my first draft, I would watch a lot of like author YouTube, and that really helped me. And I like learned how to, because I formatted this myself, and so I was able like to learn how to do that while I was writing, which I would suggest that just because sometimes formatting, if you kind of wait till the end to do it, you might like hit a snag, and you might need more time to like troubleshoot and figure out like why does this page not look right. So I would suggest like starting that just now, and then for just writing in general, just write what you want to write and just get it down. Everyone says that, just like write, get it down, and then fix it. But I think that's very true. Because I have like a lot of novels that I have like gotten to like the 20,000 word point, and then I just, wasn't 100% happy with it, so I just dropped it entirely. So I think it's just important just to keep going, and you can always fix it later.
That's a good idea. Kind of like stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Cool. And speaking of formatting, I've took a picture of this and stuff like two people about it, than this. Because this is like every chapter heading, depending who it is. Hold on. Like has a different starter page. I don't know if you call that. But it is just so beautiful. This is a beautiful book, and it's just a beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I made those two depending on what setting the chapter is taking place in.
I've noticed the back too.
Yeah. It was fun to do. Sometimes it started becoming a little more frustrating than fun, but I'm glad that I kept at it. I think I changed my chapter headers, my chapter first page like 10 times when I was like, I'd still be working on like the first draft, and I'm like messing with the chapter headers just because I really wanted them to, look professional and to look as good as they could and to look different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun.
I definitely noticed that, like, so I thought that was cool. Christy has a question, and she said, how many novels have you written?
So this is my first novel that I have completed. I've started quite a few. I have like a high fantasy duology that I got like 80% of the way through, and I need to go back and pretty much rewrite it. Just because it needed more world building. But the next book in this series, because it's a standalone series, this is about 30% done. And I know exactly what is happening. I just have to... my baby doesn't take as many naps now, so it's kind of slow going. I feel like. My husband doesn't agree. He thinks I'm doing everything super fast, but I just feel like I'm going slower than before.
Do you have like a general pitch that you can share about that?
Well, I actually have the blurb in the back of the paperback. So the next book
Yes.
is about one of the main male characters' neighbors is the is one of the main characters. It's written in dual point of view. It's about a witches, but like a very particular type of witch that might be a little unusual, and it's about them messing with an artifact that obviously they shouldn't be messing with, and their relationship. I think I'm having a lot of fun writing it, but the male lead is very different than Eldon. I got a lot of feedback that people liked Eldon a lot.
Mm.
And I'm just like, I hope, I think people should expect like a very different character. Um, I just hope that they're okay with how different he is.
Well, I think that, you know, it takes skill and it takes, you know, like a level of being able to write like two completely different characters and make them both likable, which I'm sure you're gonna make this one super likable. Everybody loves Eldon for how he is, and I'm sure that there are gonna be some qualities about this one that you're gonna put in that everybody's gonna love him for.
I hope so. We'll see, I guess.
Um, I know you said that you used to live in Washington, which is kind of why the book takes place in Washington. Is there anywhere in particular that inspired the hotel, or anywhere that you would like to travel? You know, that can kind of give you inspiration for your books.
So when I lived in Washington, I traveled. I did like a research trip to the West Coast to this little town that used to be called Gray Harbor, which is why the town that the Fay Hotel takes place in is called Fair Harbor. And I was researching a completely different book that I've dropped. But when I started the Fay Hotel, I was like, I already went and I learned all this history about that town. Like I learned everything about like their whale industry, which I don't know why I did that. Um, but I already learned all this history about this town, and I went there and took all these pictures and notes and stuff. So I said I'm gonna set it there because I really like that area. And then I was like halfway through the Fay Hotel when my work sent me to Ireland, and I got to stay at this place called the Carton House, which is I felt like I was staying in Downton Abbey. It is like a very, very fancy hotel if you looked it up. And so I got to write part of the Fay Hotel, after work in this very beautiful, fancy hotel. It was surreal. I was like, there's no way I could have afforded this on my own. And I did feel out of place sometimes because, like I said, I do like mechanical, electrical work. So I would be like wearing a hard hat and boots all day, and then I would, come back into this very posh setting where everyone else is, not doing the kind of work I'm doing. But it was still really fun. The grounds are beautiful, and I think I was like rewriting part of the Fay Hotel to kind of match the setting that I was in.
Mhm. That's really cool. That's really cool. Um, so let me see here. Does anybody else have any questions? Um, you are also welcome to ask to join the live as like to come up on the screen or ask a question. But I am uploading this to YouTube, so just be aware if you do that, then you will be on YouTube. All right. Um, is there anything else, Vermilion, that I haven't asked you or that you think would be important to kind of talk about with this book?
I'm not sure.
I think this is a unique one. for us, because the two lives I've done already, the books haven't been published. So I think it doesn't have to be like it comes out this day. Like no, it's out right now. You go on Amazon, you can buy it.
Yeah,
You do have
it's also
hardcover.
in Kindle Unlimited.
Do prefer hardcover? They're coming.
Yes, the hardcover is coming. I ordered my proof copy from Ingram, and I'm just waiting for it to finish printing. I think maybe the next 4 days it will finally ship out. I think I've been spoiled because I've been using like KDP, Amazon for everything else, and they're like, super fast. And then with Ingram, I feel like I'm just like waiting forever for my proof copies. But yeah, I got the hardcover is like a special edition, so it has like obviously this is going to be the dust jacket, but underneath I'm printing a different cover on the case laminate, which I think you might if you're my Discord, so you might have saw it. I really like that cover. I wasn't really sure what I wanted on it, and I was just like scrolling through Instagram and looking at landscape artists, which that was kind of frustrating because I would find like an artist and I would be like looking at it and I was like, I better like research because I think especially with landscape right now, a lot of it is AI. So I would like find an artist and I was like, oh my, it's AI. So the artist I have is very anti-AI, and she did like a fantastic job. I'm so excited to have people see it and read it. And then there's also like 4 short stories that are included at the end.
Awesome. So you can either order a copy of that, or you can wait for the hardcover that has that exclusive stuff in it. Can you tell us what Ingram is? I know what it is, but I don't know if other people know what Ingram is because it seems like it's kind of a newer thing.
So Ingram is a publishing platform that it prints it and then it will send it to a bunch of different shops online. So it will send it to Amazon, it will send it to Barnes and Noble, it'll send it all over. Ingram. Also, its new thing is you can buy directly from Ingram, so that is helpful with like price wise because especially with hardcovers and doing like 2 covers like I'm doing, it can get pretty expensive. So Ingram just like last week I think rolled out where you can buy directly from Ingram because usually only like stores could buy from Ingram, but now anyone can. So I know my paperback is you can buy it directly from Ingram, and there's a if you go to my bio you can get it, but I still think it's cheaper to get it from Amazon right now.
Yeah.
But the hardcover, it might be cheaper to get it directly from Ingram.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay. So we can go ahead and start collecting for the giveaway. So remember the rules. You have to be 18 over, and you need to live in the U.S. Or have U.S. citizens that I can put in. So the question that you have to answer is who is Vermilion's favorite character to write? And then the phrase to be entered is enter me. That's it. So enter me and then you're answering the question. And I'm literally just going to type everybody in right now and just pick a winner now. I don't like waiting. It's very important. But while we wait for people to enter, can you tell us a little bit about like what inspired like this particular setting? Because I feel like it's unique to have like you said, have 2 different worlds, have the portal fantasy. So the code to enter is enter me, and then you have to answer the question: who was Vermilion's favorite character to write? And then Vermilion, you can go ahead and answer the other question.
So when I first came up with the idea, I think I'd mentioned I was writing a high fantasy and I was like 80% of the way done and I was like, I'm gonna start over. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to take a break. And so I was like, I want to write something that is pretty like self-indulgent. So I want a setting that I'm really interested in, and I want to write about, characters that I think would be really fun. And so I like to read modern fantasy, so I knew I wanted to be modern fantasy. And one of the shows I love is Gilmore Girls. And I'm so jealous of Lorelai's job. She's like, she runs that cute little inn. And I was like, okay, so I want there to be an inn. And I, I'm not sure why I settled with fairies because the next book in these series, they are all different magical creatures. Like the next one's witches, and then there'll be different ones coming on. So I just settled on the fae, and I was like, okay, so magical hotel with fairies in a world where humans know about magical creatures. Um, and then I really like with Gilmore Girls. I love Luke Dane's character, so I was like, okay, I want a Luke Dane's inspired character. And I have like the original notes from that like brainstorming session, which the final product is very different from what I ended up, but it's still the same thing with the Fae Inn, and Eldon's character pretty much stayed the same, but pretty much everything else kind of adjusted from there.
And you mentioned Faye, obviously it's the Faye Hotel. But you have a lot of different other creatures in it. So can you tell us a little bit about like those other creatures? Um, and so the code is enter me, and the question you need to answer is who is Vermilion's favorite character to write. So far, I have Christy.
So I wanted to include a lot of different fae creatures. I think sometimes when people write about fairies, they kind of just stick with like a humanoid looking person that is basically just like an elf, and they don't really include all of the other stranger things that are in that kind of mythology. So um, I wanted to avoid that. So I have the main character is a red cap, which is a very creepy goblin. Um, and he has a dog that's a black dog, which is another mythical creature. Then we have banshees. We have selkies, and then there are also nymphs and then water fairies that they're not Rusalkas. I was going to include those, but they are.
What is
What are
that?
their names? Rusalka is like a Russian water fairy, and they're very creepy. they they're kind of similar to sirens, I think, where they lure people to their death. There's a couple other.
Banshees.
And then like I made up a different fairy. What did you say?
Banshees.
Banshees, yeah. Pixies, brownies.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what a brownie is.
Brownies are like a very tiny fairy. They're usually described as like looking like a little old man, and they can be helpful until you tick them off, and then they'll mess your day up. I'm trying to remember what they get attacked.
Chupacabra.
Yeah, but those aren't fae, but there are chupacabra. It's like having a world where there's just like I could really like grab from anything.
Mm-hmm.
That was very fun. It was like, what am I gonna add in here today? It's gonna drive me crazy. Oh, there's a will-o-wisp.
Mm-hmm.
Naiads. That's what I was trying to remember the name of. There's naiads.
What's a naiad?
Those are also like a water fairy. There's a lot of water fairies.
Is there a significance to that? Or you just happen to pick them?
Well, I knew I needed to pick one of the water fairies, and so I just went with naiads for that scene. I have like a big book that I would just like leaf through and see like, well, what can I include, because I just wanted to include as much as I could of like the very different kind of fey creatures. I didn't want to stick with just like, these humanoid kind.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, so about, we'll give it about like 4 more minutes. I want to still give people a chance to enter the giveaway for this copy here. You have to write enter me and then the name of the character that Vermilion liked writing the most. And we're just chatting a little bit about, different creatures in her book. And this is just, I don't know. I really, really loved this book. And something I loved the most about it was this, which is the playlist. I love when books have playlists. I think it's amazing. So tell us a little bit about this. Like, did you listen to these songs when you wrote it, or do they just remind you of it? Tell me a little bit about that.
So, like I said, I don't listen to music when I write because it distracts me. But when I do, like, I'll do like daydreaming sessions, and then I would listen to. I think I listened to Northern Attitude so much that it was like my number one song on Spotify Wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I listened to that one a lot. Some of them, I think I listened to all of them during my like daydreaming sessions.
Cool, cool. Um, Thank you, LV, for all of the likes. LV, I actually just interviewed last week. So I really, really love when books have playlists. And I think I really like the QR code because it helps for people. So in my tabbing, so I have never tabbed before. This was the second book, or the third book that I tabbed. And so I like looked up like what tabs should stand for because I've never done it before. So the gray tabs stand for world building. The light blue tabs stand for romance or like stuff like that. The dark blue is quotes. Like the dusty blue is memorable, and then the navy blue is sad parts. So if you just want to look at that, this is the kind of book that Vermilion wrote. There's a lot of world building, but there's like I have a lot of romantic tabs. I really actually do. There's not that many sad tabs, so I think that that's a good thing. And then I have a lot of memorable tabs, just like scenes that like I generally liked, and thought, that they were super cool. We have some more people here, so if anybody wants to pick a number between 1 and 459, is that what I said? That's not 275. Vermilion and I are just like gonna like go to that page and then like pick a quote.
Don't pick anything from chapter 34.
I'm assuming I know what chapter that is. 129.
Yeah.
All right, 129. Where am I at? Okay. So I think your pages are different than mine. So
I accidentally grabbed one of my older proof copies, so
okay.
we have different pages.
So why don't you go ahead and pick one from page 129?
Okay. So there's a dog in this book. That's who I'm talking about here. Hob took that moment to snatch the marshmallow bag and shake it back and forth, sending large, sugary pillows flying. Eldon cursed and surged forward, racing Hob to see who would get to each marshmallow treat first. So there's a mischievous dog in this book, which I have 2 mischievous dogs.
So the black dog, we're talking about like the one that you see if you're gonna die, right?
Yeah.
So I live in Connecticut, and we have this it's called Castle Craig, and it's literally just like a castle on top of the hill. And there's been like myth and like legend around like there's a black dog that is in that area that people have seen, and then bad things have happened. So it's in Meriden. Um,
I'll have to look that up because I love American like urban legends. I'm
oh,
obsessed
urban
with
legend.
it.
But yeah, I know that there is. I can send it to you because I know that there is one. Um, yeah, it's Hubbard Park. Um, and so it's called the Black Dog of West Peak here. Um, and says as local legend has it, you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy. If you meet him twice, it shall be for sorrow, and if you meet him for a third time, it's for death. So I mean, what if you live with Hop though? Like you see him a lot. Like,
It's different rules.
yeah, different rules because you get to make your own rules because it's a fantasy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. There's like a story about like a geologist that was there and saw the dog and stuff. So I could send you this. It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I like reading about that kind of stuff.
but okay, another page. Anybody have another page? I know Elvy's watching. Elvy, pick a page.
I have a black German Shepherd, and I didn't grow up with dogs at all, so it was kind of startling at night. Like I would go out to get like water or something, and German Shepherds are very attached dogs, and so he would scare the heck out of me because I would just like open like the fridge and the light would come on and he would just be there. I was like, stop doing that. But I got him like a collar and he has a bunch of tags on it, so now he jingles. So it gives me some warning.
That's so funny. Um, all right, so let me see. I'm gonna pick one more page because I want to do another one. I'm just gonna like randomly flip. 147. All right. Innocent or not, he needed to decide Avalon's fate soon. He doubted that too much sorting through the Inn's tax records was the real reason for Avalon's tears. I just, I don't know. I just love like the prose in this. I just read like something for fiction writers. I forget. I literally just read it, so I forgot it. But it was a book about like editing and things like that. And honestly, I had like no idea how much like goes into editing a book. And like I thought you just like wrote it and like someone, like made sure there was like no grammatical errors or like punctuation errors, but it's just like no, like it matters the phrases you use. Um one of the things was like don't use like ly words like to describe things, and I'm like, what? Like you shouldn't. And it's like don't not ever use them, but like those aren't like words that like you want to use too much of. And I was like, I would never have known that if I didn't read that book. Which I feel like there's this like one part that was it was like about narrative and like how it's better to like show don't tell sort of thing, but then it can be helpful for like world building for like a character to tell another character about something. And that's like one of my biggest like pet peeves. Like I hate it. Like I hate when someone is literally just like one character's telling the other like everything, and I'm just like I want to find out about that. And like the book talks about like giving your readers like don't insult their intelligence, like they like can figure it out themselves. And I feel like your book does that. It really does a really great job of that, because even though you have like the general descriptions like of things, it's not just like the way that you find out about things, and the dialogue is like very natural, and isn't like it's not too much. I don't know if that's the word or that's the phrase, but it just felt like genuine. Maybe that's the word, like effortless. Like they would like they're talking to each other, and I can imagine it happening. Like that's how they would talk, you know? So I really appreciate that about your book. So I'm just gonna look back and just make sure. Chelsea says that Eldon is a babe. Which is very true. Chelsea, did you also picture Eldon as Henry Cavill? Like everybody else?
Henry Cavill can play any romantic lead.
Literally,
I would be okay with
and so I did look back, and the only person that entered was Christy. So Christy, you won this copy. So if you can go ahead and private message me your address, I will go ahead and send this out. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm gonna try my best to do at my lunch break. So hooray for you for winning this. I am really excited for Christy to read this. She is part of my like bookish creators group, and I've been talking about this book, and that I was doing a giveaway. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, like I wish that it wasn't in a different time zone. Like I really want to win that. But Christy was the lucky one to win it. So now she gets to read it, and hopefully all of these tabs are helpful to you. I like didn't want to put too many, but I literally almost ran out of like the tabs with this one that like were the blue ones, because I wanted to make it like go with the cover. So thank you so much, Vermilion, for joining me today. It's been really wonderful talking with you and getting to know about your process, and I'm just so excited for people to read The Fae Hotel. You can get it anywhere now. It's on Kindle Unlimited as well, which is wonderful. And the hardback copy is coming out soon, but you can get the paperback one right now. And you can definitely keep an eye out for her next book, which is a standalone in this same series, but it'll be all wrapped up in a nice bow. And you can also read the blurb for that in the back of the paperback. So thank you so much. I'm really, really glad that you joined me today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching.